Okay, welcome everybody to the final webinar of the year. So we'll be taking a look through some of the core updates and improvements we've made throughout 2022. And we'll also be taking a look at some of the, just some of what's to come for next year as well. Now, we're going to split this into obviously two main areas for this year. So the review of the past year is a sort of timeline where we're going to pick out some of the more some of the more key updates and larger updates. It's not an exhaustive list at all. If anybody wants to, you can go and check the change logs and see a full list. There's a lot more than what we're going to talk about here tonight, but we've picked the ones that focus on sort of the key areas that we promised we would focus on. And then we'll take a look at some feature focuses as well. So we'll break down some of those into sort of, we'll highlight them more and talk about them more, and then we'll also demo a little bit so that it gives everybody a little bit of context as to where to find them and what the update looks like. And then we'll also take a look at 2023 for next year. So we'll take a look at some of the things that are to come next year, and we'll also touch on a few other bits at that point as well. If you have any questions or feedback, then I think just so we can get a nice clear recording, let's hold those until the end, and then we can circle back to any of the points that we covered tonight. So first and foremost, Siteglide in 2022. So you might remember at the end of last year, we showed a slide, I think it was this slide actually, where we talked about some of the three key pillars that we're going to be focusing on. So we broke those down into logic, experiences, and data. And each of our releases and focuses for the year would be attributed to one of these three pillars. So you'll see this sort of continue through the presentation this evening. So taking a look at some of the key releases for the year. So we'll look at a timeline first, and then we'll dive into some of these in more detail. Now, don't forget, if you're wanting an exhaustive list, it's a great idea to go and check out some of the change logs. We're not going to go through everything tonight, but we'll cover the key ones, the key updates. So in Q1 of this year, we have the ability to save custom reports. So this touches on sort of the data side of our pillars, along with the release of Academy. So this is where we started posting our training sessions and in-depth sort of documentation and notation beside those as well, to help with either onboarding new staff or help new agencies joining the platform. And of course, the ability to save custom reports means you don't need to redo a report every time or rerun it. And those reports are dynamic, so it's an improvement on how you can analyze data on the platform. And back in January, we also released the new ticketing system. So obviously that allowed you guys to share either bug reports or questions between your whole team, rather than it being segmented to just one person in the chat. Okay, and then in Q2, where's my mouse gone? So we took a look at and released the custom UI from the module marketplace. So before this, I think late last year, we released the marketplace and allowed modules to start being created. But we added a lot to it throughout this year, and it's an ongoing theme, as most of you will know. So the custom UI opened things up for a couple of the examples we'll take a look at later on. But rather than just creating a module that looks like everything else in Siteglide, you can control everything that your users look at within a site. We also updated the UI for Marketplace, so we improved, we added various fields for data and customization on those, and we also improved the way they looked and the way you could search and filter in the Marketplace as well. And that was released across site settings as well as the Marketplace area within Portal. Then we had automatic site upgrade control. So based on feedback, we introduced more controls, more granular control over whether or not your sites would automatically upgrade, and if they did or didn't, what would happen at that point as well. So it gives you more control over your billing, more reliability, and forecasting, really, to make billing more comfortable for you and your clients. And then in Q3, we expanded the studio editor. Now, we did this in various places. We added the studio editor to more locations, and we also expanded the functionality of the editor as well, so that you could edit more content in more places. And alongside that, tied in with the experiences pillar, we allowed you to create sites from template from the marketplace. So we started seeing some movement on this. There's a lot more to come on this next year, and we'll touch on this in a bit. But the ability to have either turnkey solutions, etc., is really strong and key on this release. And then finally in Q4, so we have quite a lot in Q4 actually, in terms of size of release and benefits. So we have the release of automations. So this has been released across admin in a site. So not just forms, but other areas, including modules and web apps as well. We'll take a look at this a little bit later also. And then we also released age capture, so security for sites on forms, as opposed to just using Google reCAPTCHA. Again, we'll touch on this in a bit. And the marketplace module payments. So you're also charged for modules now, which is an excellent step and rounding out that marketplace. And then finally, we introduced the Discord community. So it's still early days, and we still have a lot more people to get into the community. And we still have things that we would like to add to the community. So we'll touch on this later, but a really key improvement for us in terms of discussion, getting feedback and engaging with you lot as well. Alrighty, so as promised, what we're going to do now is going to take a look through some of the feature focuses for the year. So we're going to take out some of the key features and talk about them in a bit more detail, and also demo some of it as well. Okay, so the first one up is automations. So this is quite a big release for the year, and it introduced the ability for you to connect various parts of admin to third-party tools. So obviously there was always the possibility of connecting sites with things like Zapier, which offered a little bit more of a point-and-click integration option. We also had the custom APIs. So if you had developers who really knew what they were doing with APIs, you could integrate to any platform that you wanted to. But the introduction of automations has sort of bridged the gap a bit. We've brought in some of the point and click from Zapier into the platform, and also provided the ability for API developers to really integrate with anything they want and introduce various functionality and sorting and filtering and logic. So the first area of this is triggers. So depending on where you look in admin, you're going to get different triggers. Typically, these are focused around either front-end create, admin create, or admin update. But there are others. It depends on where you look. So the triggers available are dynamic to what you're looking at in the data you're managing. And then these attach to actions. So there are three main actions. So one is either an API call. One is a custom action, so you can go wild, and this is where you can do your really crazy logic, etc. And then there are email actions, so things like workflows and autoresponders as well. So we've introduced the old workflow and autoresponders within the actions element of automations. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, custom API actions. So this is where you can do all that crazy logic. So we're going to look at two examples of automations. I've shown one already earlier this year, which was a really basic one of connecting to a Stripe account and creating a new customer. But we're going to take a look at a Mailchimp example as well, just to show you what's possible and give you guys some ideas and show you it in action. So we'll jump out of the presentation here. So the first example, as promised, is the Stripe example. Now, we showed this earlier in the year. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, this is a form example. So when you come to forms, rather than seeing the workflow and autoresponder tabs across here, you have the new automations tab. And in here, you can create new automations along here, and it'll add a new tab in. So if I remove this, that's fine. Yeah, whatever, I'll leave it there. So this is a really basic example of where I have created a form. It's a really simple form where I just have a name and email address. Now, all I'm wanting to do is connect this to a Stripe account. So the Stripe account's over here. I don't have any customers in there at the moment. Now, obviously, we could turn on payment for this form and maybe actually have them pay us something or start a subscription. But for demo purposes, I've kept it very simple. I've output this form on a page, so I can fill out my name here and my email address. Okay, and I can go and submit form. So really basic. And what this is going to do is when it submits is trigger our new automations. So whenever you create an automation with item update on the front or create, it will trigger the automation that you set up. So I really simply just set it to send some basic data such as the email across to Stripe. So if I refresh on my Stripe account now, there we go. So we can see my new form submission has now added my user's email address. Now, obviously, you can make this much more complex and more robust, but it's a good example of just one of the things that you can do on your sites. And the second is the Mailchimp integration. So similarly, this example is actually of a web app rather than a form. So earlier in the year, I think we only demoed forms, but it's another really great use case. So in this context, it's focused on the admin. And the original demo of this was built by site gurus. So if you want something to connect to Mailchimp along these lines and you're not sure how to do it, they're a great people to go and talk to, and they'll be able to help you with that. So for simplicity, I've reduced this to item update. You could also introduce it with item create as well, for example, or any of the other triggers. So I've created an item in here. Now I did a bit of testing earlier, but to make it really obvious for the demo, what I'm going to do is come over to custom fields, and I'm going to select an image. So let's pick the large image here. I'll just pick one at random. Whoops, yeah, that's fine. Let's select this. And to make it a bit more obvious as well, I'll put, I'll change the name as well. So we're just going to click save and update this. Now, I have an automation, just like the forms, set up here, where when I update these items, it will then send it over to my Mailchimp shop. So it's going to update the products on this side so that they're in sync as well. So I'll just give this a refresh. So my product's now synced, and this is, as I said, just the web app update that's in the admin there. So this really opens possibilities for different solutions, and it can be particularly useful for either e-commerce or also portals as well. They tend to be tend to have requirements for syncing between different tools. So those are the two examples, just to give an idea of what's possible with the automations. Now, obviously, sky's the limit, and if you have an API developer, they can build anything that you would need. So if you have an idea, it's worth looking into and talking to somebody to see if it's possible. You can even drop a note in the community to see if anyone has experience doing it so far. Cool, so that's automations. And on to Marketplace. Now, Marketplace has had quite a few updates this year, and some massive improvements. So it's now possible to boost your sites with not only individual modules, maybe some like a blog or you know, other data-related modules, but also we've now introduced the ability for you to create themes or templates for sites as well. So I touched on this earlier. So this includes the ability to create turnkey sites. I've had calls with a few people recently, a few different agencies, looking at how they can create turnkey solutions for their existing customers, but also some of the new customers as well. So you don't only need to create modules that you're going to share with the rest of the community or sell. This is a really useful feature for your own team, not only the community. So you can turn a site that you've already built into a template, and then you can roll that out across multiple sites very easily. We also introduced the ability more recently to sell and purchase modules. So a couple of you have started using this already. And you have options either as a one-off payment or a recurring subscription for a module for access to that. Now, you can link these modules with your own Stripe account. So we'll touch on this in just a moment. And then finally, we introduced various improvements that allowed effectively modules to talk to each other, or you to work with other people creating a module. So we're going to show a couple of examples that touch on these or bridge these improvements very shortly. But effectively, with the cross-module integrations, you can create a module that directly interacts with another module, be it inputting a new layout to it, or providing some logic or GraphQL queries, etc., that would support it. So it opens the bridge and for community involvement here. So let's just head on through. I'm going to talk about a couple of those points in more detail, and then we're going to go and take a look at the marketplace just in case nobody's seen it. So yeah, the first one is the templates. Now, as I mentioned, turnkey solutions are really key. So they're not just for selling to other people in the community, but they're also for your agency. It speeds up development, and it provides a start point that means you're not starting from scratch every time you're creating a site. And it also allows you to keep costs down for your clients in an environment where perhaps people are having smaller budgets at the moment to create sites and support their businesses. And the second is the ability to sell modules, as I've mentioned. So yeah, you can charge a fee, and as I said, it's either a one-off or a subscription, depending on what you choose. You can introduce multiple currencies, so you get to pick your currency, and you also get to connect it to your Stripe account. So you have full control. Whoever's buying your module pays you. You control the price. You control the interval of payment. You control tax, etc. You have full access to that. Equally, you don't have to connect a Stripe account if you don't want to. So you could manually or offline, if you like, control access. So you could charge independently. It doesn't have to be through the marketplace. Or it could be for trials or on a, more of a trust basis with somebody that you're working with, and you can manually control the access to your modules as well. So quite a big update there. Just as an example, we'll pop out and I'll show what that looks like in the marketplace. So in here, you can see the new UI that we've been talking about. I think everybody here this evening should be familiar with this new UI. I'm sure you popped in and have used it to install modules already. So we have various modules in here, including the new type of templates. So if I just remove module here, we can see some of the examples that have been used by Site Builder. We'll touch on that shortly. And these templates and the new template category allow you to then spin up a site directly off them. So whether you're sharing this with the wider community or just your agency, it makes it much more efficient to spin up sites without starting from scratch. And then finally, if I do a quick search for the payment as well, sorry, the one-off payment, and you can see you get to pick your currency. So I've only put pounds in here because that's what my Stripe account is in. But if you wanted to, you could choose dollars or multiple if you wanted to. I've picked a value of £100 as a one-off payment as well. And then you have the subscription. So similarly, I've set this at £100, but this is a monthly interval. So in my description, I would make that clear to the customers. So obviously these are just examples. Your modules would look much better. Alrighty. Onwards. So as promised, we have two examples to talk about tonight that touch on the main areas that have received updates this year to the marketplace. So the first one is Site Builder. And the second one is the Personalization Hub by Helen at Emicom Design. So we're going to take a look at both of these modules with a bit of information, and then we'll also show a little bit of a demo. It's going to be quite short. If you want more of a demo, then you should reach out to the module owners or check out their docs and or videos to get started. So the first is Site Builder. Now, this is a really good example of a module where they've created a UI that allows you to build sites from templates. So you have a theme to start from, which speeds up your development. They've partnered with people like Flowbyte so that you can actually control the whole design process from design to build. So the whole creation process from design to build, with corresponding layouts in both. So if you have a design team or a design member of your team, you can have them control that design and filter it down to speed up both the customization and the development of the platform of the site. And developers also get the ability to fully customize on top. They get access to everything. They can customize how they'd like to. They're not limited by many DIY builders, despite the fact that you have pre-built packaged up layouts that work really well and are following best practices. Now, this module is also a really good example of a module that allows others to interact with it. So Sitebuilder has been built in such a way that it isn't only their team, the Site Gurus team, who can build templates for it. If you'd like to, and I know some agencies are planning to do this early next year, you can create templates for the marketplace that are available to the whole community. And when somebody installs it, you can have it automatically work with Sitebuilder. So you get to utilize their UI. You don't have to build a whole custom module UI, etc., and just integrate your template and deliver that to customers. So just briefly, we'll jump out and we'll show you Sitebuilder. I know some of you already seen this. If you're new to Sitebuilder and you've never come across it before, you can come over to their landing page and just click the free get account now. So this will take you to the module page and allow you to install a free demo. The demo is actually used in the video as well, so you'll get exactly what you're looking at. So yeah, worth coming and checking out this page if you haven't already. This is the Sitebuilder module. So as I said, we're going to take a look at, just really briefly, we're going to take a look at the fact that, yes, you can create a new page template based on themes in the marketplace. So I can create okay, can create a new theme here. Now, this is based on the Flowpipe theme because this is the theme that I've installed from the marketplace. Now, if I installed more themes from the marketplace over here, so if we came back to here and reduced it down to some templates. So, oops, sorry. Excellent. There we go. Right. So here are the themes currently available. Now, obviously, there will be more that are coming available early next year and onwards. But you would come to the marketplace first. You would install the theme that you want to use to your site. And if it integrates with Sitebuilder, you can then come back over to Sitebuilder and pick that from these options. Now, the Sitebuilder approach makes it very point and click. So you get to pick various designs as you go, and it pieces together these layouts for you and creates the page as well. So just really quickly, I'll click 2 of these for those, and I'll create a basic page template. So this will create the wrapper for our site. So you can see I've already created one, obviously. And then we can come into Page Builder, and based on the page templates we've created, we can start creating pages. So you can kind of think of this as a wireframe, perhaps. So I could do Martin, let's do demo as well. And then we get to choose our section type. Now, one of the other key benefits of Sitebuilder is that it isn't just static layouts from a template. So some of you might have bought templates before online of either Bootstrap or Tailwind or what have you. The Site Gurus team have actually integrated those, a lot of these layouts into the modules so that it's dynamic with your data as well. So that's a really big improvement. So we get to go through and we get to piece together our wireframe. So I can do a static layout to begin with, so maybe a hero. It's quite nice actually. And then a new section. So we can then start introducing some of our data from the modules, be this some events or FAQs. So I might pick a couple of blog posts at the moment, for example. That's a bit big for what I want, but let's see what we've got. Let's go back to this one then. And we could also pick an FAQ or see what events we've got. It's probably a bit big as well. Let's go for FAQ. So you can see that you can pick and choose, and if you don't like it, you can change your mind. So you get to, there are various layouts available in different areas. Obviously, different modules have access to different layouts. So you can continue building out your wireframe, and if you have a designer, you can use the same layouts that your designer was looking at in Figma as well. So once you've finished, you can submit your page. And then you can be taken right over to that page as well. And then you can start customizing on top. So if you have developers, they can get full access to it. Now, as I say, this isn't just the Site Gurus layouts that are available. You can create your own layouts, or you can use other layouts. You can create your own templates, or you can create use templates created by others in the community. There's more to come on this early next year. And in our page, then we can start seeing the content that has been put together by the site builder. Here as well. So our studio editor, which we touched on earlier with the improved controls and the ability to update images, etc. And then you can see that same content on the front end as well with Siteglide. I think I put some caching on this, so the first load is a little bit slower than normal because of how I've designed it. So yeah, there we go. That's the site builder module. A good example there, and we'll continue on to the second example. Okay, so the second example is the personalization module from Imicon Designs. So this module allows you to dynamically control and personalize any content on your site, be that static content, so maybe some of the layouts that we just picked in the previous module even, or just static normal basic pages, or any data such as products, web apps, events, blogs, you name it, anything on your site you can dynamically control and sort of alter depending on based on user interaction or user profiles. So it allows you to increase engagement. So it's tried and tested. Visitors spend longer on a site because content is personalized to them. They take more information in, and they're even more likely to submit even inquiry forms. And it also increases ROI, increases your revenue, and it maximizes the marketing budget. So you get more out of your marketing budget because, of course, when they arrive on your site, they're going to engage, and also you're attracting the type of people to content that is actually relevant to them. And of course, it reduces your acquisition costs because you're not churning through so many people. So this is a really great module, or it's actually a set of modules that Helen's been working on. It's all based on the latest psychological data and profiles, etc. And yeah, as I say, tried and tested. So what I'm going to do is, rather than showing this, there's a few different areas. So you could try this module for simply updating content based on a user profile, so certain fields that you've defined. Or another area, as this slide suggests, is looking at user interaction. So dynamically, based on the type of content that they click on and interact with, you then start filtering and adapting the information that is shown to them. Alternatively, you have things like adverts and sort of link backs and cookies, etc. So there's various areas that you can control from, and you just pick the one that you want. So for simplicity and speed on showing this today, we'll head over to Helen's site here. So we'll share the links afterwards, same for the site builder module. If you haven't seen this already, you can come in and read all the information, and you can find out all about the separate areas of the personalization modules. But yeah, let's take a quick look at the video. I'm going to just sort of skip through it and show a few examples that Helen's been working on. So in the first example, she shows it's about product information, so increasing your revenue directly on the site. Now, in this example, they get direct information from a site visitor telling them what they are like and what their interests are. And then the site will automatically update based on this information using Helen's modules to change the content available on those products to make the products more appealing. So if I just skip through a little bit more. Okay, so both filtering of products, the products that are even shown to them, and when you then click into the product, you can see the description, etc., has changed to match that persona. So let's skip along a little bit. There we go. So yeah, as I said, filtering your products, the products that are shown to them, and this is the same on all content across your site. So products is just one example. This can also work for the types of categories shown to you, the types of blog posts, related content, etc. So really, the sky's the limit, and your idea is the limit. Helen will also work with you to advise on how best to apply this on your sites and get the most return for your customers as well. So if you're interested, again, we'll provide links afterwards. One of the other areas that I touched on just a moment ago was, for example, adverts. So which adverts have these customers or visitors engaged with? And then cookies are created and Helen's module adapts the content on the site depending on the advert that's attracted them. So really clever stuff here. There are also sort of cookie pop-ups, again, with adapted content. And I believe a little bit further along, so yeah, we've got the recommended changing here. And then a little bit further along, there was, as you leave a site, it says, well, okay, we skipped across that. But yeah, there are also pop-ups for leaving a site to try and attract users or visitors back and make sure that they finish what they were doing before they leave, and the content's dynamic there. So there's quite a lot going on here, lots of different use cases, but personalization is absolutely key in the future of the industry. Usually, if you try and look for personalized solutions like this, you're looking at big money on big platforms. So Helen's knowledge and insight and work here is quite incredible in being able to deliver this to any site on the Siteglide platform. So yeah, she has also the ability to purchase it from her, so the whole bundle here. I think she's also offering trials, so if you are interested, we'll share links and reach out to her after this to find out more and get stuck in and start actually trialing it and improving things for your customers. So yeah, personalization modules, really great example of multiple modules working together, and also using the custom UI and data structures from the recent marketplace updates to make the most out of those as well. So lots to talk about there. We could do a whole presentation just on this. Right, how are we doing for time? Okay, I'll push on. One of the other more recent updates was HCapture. So what is HCapture? So for those of you who don't know, HCapture is effectively, it's pretty much the biggest capture service outside of Google. So it's an independent platform who provide those security questions on forms and provide a layer of protection against the spam bots, etc. Now it's also a better capture, so it works better than Google for various reasons, which yeah, you can read all about. We did a blog post that touches on some of this. There's a lot more information out there. So the platform-wise and Siteglide teams have worked together to deliver this to all sites in Siteglide. When you create a form now, HCapture is automatically applied and working on that form for you. So you don't even need to think about it. It doesn't use any API calls. There's no third-party service. It's all included and automatic for you when you create forms on the Siteglide platform now. So just really quickly, we'll just jump out and show that as well. Not sure how many people have seen it. So every time, as I say, you create a new form, this is just a basic one, we can come across the spam detection, and you can see the new HCapture option is already selected for you. So when you look at the front end, you see, so obviously it's just a basic form with no layout. You can see the new HCapture approach. Looks very similar to the Google one, but it's better, it's integrated into the platform, it's cheaper, it's more performant, the page loads quicker. So really great solution. And if you haven't already started applying it to your Siteglide forms, we absolutely recommend it. Okay, onwards. And then finally, introducing the end of year offer. So I think some of you will have seen the Black Friday offers that were going around a short while ago. We've been introducing the new Essential plan and working out how best to deliver that to everybody. So based on feedback, some of you have smaller clients and smaller sites who don't necessarily need all of the data and various benefits that come with that on-site plans that bump the cost up. But you have smaller clients who, or even new clients who you're looking to win, who you're hoping to scale later, but not at the moment, who you just want to provide a basic site for. You want the enterprise infrastructure behind it that provides the speed, the performance, the reliability, and the security, etc. But you don't need all of the data. So this kind of plan is ideal for it. It's brand new, newly negotiated with platforms. And yeah, as I say, ideal for those smaller sites. So we're really pleased to be able to offer this. It's the lowest price point we've ever been able to offer. You can either get in touch and buy individual plans. So if you just have one client or one prospective client who would be ideal for this, then you can go for it. It's available to everybody, not only those on Agency Pro, for example. And it's also available at increased discounts if you buy either a 3-pack or ranging up to 10 packs as well. So yeah, we've listened to the feedback and we've introduced a whole new plan, a whole new category. We've not released anything like this before, so hopefully it will hit the spot in terms of what you guys need for onboarding smaller clients. One of the other areas I wanted to highlight, for those of you who don't know, I think possibly everybody here this evening does, but earlier in the year we introduced the new Discord community. So there are various benefits to this. One is, of course, a tighter integration and exposure to the Siteglide team, along with others in the community, so you can discuss updates, give us feedback, etc. But it also comes with various other benefits. So we're integrating more and more over time. So, for example, if we come down to, sorry, there we go. Right, so we have Siteglide notifications. We're integrating more over time and we'll add more over time. So, for example, we have notification channels for releases, so you can stay on top of anything new that comes to Siteglide. We have service status, for example, and roadmap updates, which are connected via API. So you get automatic notifications of any ongoings on those, and you can stay on the forefront of it. And then also, yeah, for now, we've got update channels for documentation and also events as well. We have more to add to this, but it's a great place to hear everything that's going on with the platform and also directly give us feedback and discuss it with others in the community. So if you haven't already, it's a great place to sign up to. I know quite a few of you haven't, so it'd be good to get in here. We have a community discussion area, so that, yeah, you can talk to others in the community, and we also share various videos and recordings, etc., and things that we're working on in here as well. And then we have a general community support. So whether you're a developer or a designer or a business owner, if you have a question or you have a project upcoming and you're not quite sure how to deliver something, you can come over here and you can discuss it and get feedback from both the Siteglide team and the community as well. So yeah, we'll share links afterwards if you haven't already seen them, but quite a few of you aren't here yet. So please do reach out and connect with us. Also, if you're in a bigger team, if you have a larger team, so more than just one of you, we can deliver sort of private team channels where everybody in your team can both see the conversation but also discuss with the Siteglide team. So it's not siloed to just one person on a support chat, for example. And yeah, we also have an events area. So I think a number of you use that to join this evening, but you get live notifications and access to event information that's upcoming as well, all directly in that community. Finally, I just wanted to touch on, because I believe today, yes, it was today, we've had updates from the G2 platform for the most recent awards that we've won, mainly based on your feedback to date. So thank you all for voting. If you haven't voted, I'd recommend going over and giving a feedback report. So you can see currently we are number 4, despite being a smaller company with far less funding than some of the larger, more expensive platforms that will cost you tens of thousands every year to be on. We are number 4 in the category for the industry of DXPs. And we've also won various awards again this year. So best support, high performers, easiest to do business with, and most likely to recommend as well. So all fantastic, mainly based on your feedback. So thank you very much. And then, as promised, we'll just touch on looking to next year. So these are just some of the things that we have planned for next year. So we'll take a look at some of these key ones first, and then we'll open the floor up as well, because your feedback is critical to the roadmap that we create. So for those of you that have either watched the recording or joined us at our last the advisory board meeting that we opened up to the community, we touched on Menu Builder. So we have big plans for this next year, a big update to overhaul Menu Builder and the way it works. We've already begun collating feedback and planning how we would like to go about this. and we've shared this with you as well. So if you haven't already seen it, check out the general channel and community. There's a link to the roadmap where all of that information is. And we encourage everybody to give us ideas, feedback, discuss it between you or us, because it will really help us in terms of how we approach the new version of Menu Builder next year. We have more integrations to come. So I think Luke might share an update on this very shortly. So it's actually something that we kept quite quiet, but we have a few different updates and integrations to other platforms and tools in the works, so boosting automations further along. And then we have the long-awaited and much requested custom category fields. So the ability to add any data that you'd like to categories and really open those up and make them more flexible. Probably one of the last areas that needs that amount of opening up. And then user roles also for admin level, more granular control over what you and your staff and your clients can do. So we have obviously a few different user levels at the moment, but we're going to open that up and give much more control as requested. Now we have various updates in the community to talk about next year. The one that we can talk about at the moment is Site Builder. Now the Site Builder team, or the Site Gurus team who deliver Site Builder, have some really cool updates planned around builders of web apps and web app forms, etc. So the ability to map fields to some of the layouts that they provide, and also introduce some really cool functionality from their forms and the dynamic form builders into the web app context as well. So there's quite a lot of stuff planned there, which is really exciting, and we'll share more on that next year. There are a number of other modules in the works, but it's a little bit early for me to share information on that just yet. So as I say, early next year, we'll have more on the community side to share with everybody as well. Actually, so just before I go into this, Luke, did you want to, I'll pull up the video.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for a very thorough presentation so far. Yeah, we just wanted to show this one off a little bit. So automations is one of the biggest, sort of most powerful features we've added this year. But while you can do anything, we haven't necessarily made it as easy as possible to connect up to all the different tools. And some of you guys use Zapier to do some of that as well. So what's coming very soon, early in the new year, will be the ability to pick a fourth action from the list, which I'll show in the video in a second, called pre-built integrations. So yeah, Martin, if you just want to run that. This is just a quick demo of how that works. So if you select pre-built integrations, you'd then be able to choose the app that you want to connect to, and that list is ever growing. All sorts of things really. Some require a login to connect it up, and from the various services that you might use. So this is Xero as an example. Then Salesforce has loads of different actions that you might want to take. All sorts of tools in there, CRMs, email marketing, that kind of stuff. Then HubSpot, two-way sync on some of these as well, on the CRM related ones. Google, all the Google related products, so being able to hook up to Google. So here it will open up the OAuth tool, hook up to your Google account, and then you just give it access to be able to do that. And then from here, you'll be able to see all the different things that you can do with either a spreadsheet, the calendar, mail, whatever it might be. So a whole range of tools already in there. That list is growing every day. Yeah, Mailchimp, another one. So what Martin showed you earlier, by all means, you can carry on and do a custom integration for Mailchimp, but soon you should just be able to point and click and hook it up for some of the basics at least. Much more on that early in the new year. Just wanted to give a quick insight to our promise has always been to make things possible first and then make them easy, but this was one we wanted to push on with and try and make it easy as quickly as we could, because we know the power of data and being able to push it to various tools. Most of these, obviously all of these at the moment link up to automations, so all the different triggers that we have in Siteglide would allow you, you'd be able to use this with those. After that, we need to look at it the other way around and being able to pull data back into Siteglide and look at two-way sync, for example, and that's something that we can do with this as well. So being able to sync a CRM, for example, or a database from a completely different tool. I'm sure we'll reach out early in the new year and get feedback and input on that. We'll get a version out to you guys as quickly as possible to be able to play around with as well. Yeah, if you just mind going back to the roadmap slide you've got as well, Martin, just 1 second. Yeah, so as Martin said, that's just a few of them really, and we're really keen to get some of those core ones done that we know we want to do. I think user roles might be one that you remember from last year. There's lots of updates that we want to do there. With all the things we've been doing, that's one that's taken a sort of setback a little bit, and for sort of good reason. We wanted the feature set first, enable you to do things, and then come back and improve the experience. We've got a good plan for getting that out as soon as we possibly can. So yeah, back over to you, Martin. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, so that ties in nicely to what I was going to come on to next, really. So these are just they're not an exhaustive list of what we'll be working on next year. They're just the beginning, as Luke says. So really, just like last year, we would love your input on anything that we've missed. So if you have any features where you go, well, hold on a minute, what about? Or I would find this feature really useful. Or any ideas on any of the features that we've been talking about this evening, we want to hear it. So please do have a think and share that with us either right now or after the presentation in the community, in the Discord community. We would love to hear, because you will help shape our roadmap for the next year. So we haven't mapped out the entire year of features because we want it to be dynamic and be able to cover what it is that you need as we go along. So yeah, and finally, we'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, because it is getting towards the end of the year now. And yeah, it's been a great year, and we wanted to thank everybody for sticking with us this year and enjoying the journey and the various improvements and leaps we've made. We hope everybody has a lovely Christmas. I'd also like to just briefly mention so support over the Christmas period. So between the 20th of December and the 3rd of January, we'll be operating sort of reduced support. So we'll only be covering critical issues and responses. So if you have a problem, we're still available, but otherwise you might experience, if you just have a question or something like that, you might experience some slower response times from our team while we
Just quickly on that, we'll obviously share those dates in Discord and by email, but Discord is definitely the place to go should you have any requests there. We do still see requests coming in via live chat. It's okay, but you're definitely going to get the best experience by Discord, and you might find that other people are there to help generally. So definitely recommend starting there.
100%. So I'll move this slide back to here just while I'm going to open chat and see what we've got going on there. So yeah, menu builder V2 looks great. Nothing to add to the list currently. Yeah, Nick, I know you mentioned a number of points that we've added already, so that's great. Wave integrations, agreed. Yeah, pleased to see portal user management being worked on now. Yeah, 100%. And working on the marketing for us all to use and promote Siteglide would be great. So so much we can use for larger businesses now. Yeah, that's definitely an area that we'd like to improve as well. I think we've discussed it a couple of times over the past few months, but yeah, really working on the various use cases. So now with all the big improvements to Marketplace this year, really any solution is possible. So if you have a client looking for anything, the answer is yes, and you have a community behind you. So if you don't know, how to do it. Somebody in the community will. So yeah, we have a lot to do in explaining that and highlighting different use cases to give everybody ideas.
Just to jump in quickly on that point from Nick about the marketing. For those that don't know, in the last call, last meeting we had, I think it was you, Nick, that raised that, and other people were keen to work together to ensure that we provide the right punchy material to be able to go out there and win more projects. So it's definitely something we want to do. We want to work together on it, provide more from our end, and get input from you guys in terms of what's been success with customers and how we can better maybe tackle some of the questions or the feedback you get from people. So I think what we'll do, what we discussed before and what we still plan to do, is set up a training session where a workshop where we can all go through that, and perhaps people can bring a few things to the table and work through it. We also want to try and make sure that things aren't just based in meetings. So maybe some kind of FigJam or Figma boards that we can work on ongoing, and use Discord to continue the discussion. So yeah, really keen to kick that off in the new year and really help you guys push Siteglide and answer any questions that you get and any kind of comparisons or anything like that. Yeah, as always, reach out via Discord or get in touch if you've got any questions, any feedback on this once you've had a chance to maybe look through it. Do try and, if you do get time, do try and look through things like automations if you've not already. It's incredibly powerful. Some of the use cases there for client projects are pretty huge. So yeah, I think we've achieved quite a bit. Having a look through that would be good, making sure it's sort of up to date, and then really looking forward to discussing next steps in the new year, both in terms of promoting it, but also the roadmap and what we can work on next. So yeah, a big thank you from me. I hope you have a fantastic break or a bit of time off at least. Happy Christmas and a very good new year.